welcome to our English news coming to you from Canal Algérie. First, the top stories of the news. Army General Saeed Chingriha supervises the inauguration ceremony of the new headquarters of the Territorial Air Defense Command, stressing the need to cope with the new developments in the field. The Foreign Affairs Minister summons the chargé d'affaires of the French Embassy. Algeria adopts the principle of reciprocity following the French decision pertaining to visa exemptions. And the humanitarian situation keeps worsening in the Palestinian territories, with famine looming over the enclave. Welcome once again to our news. First in the news, Major Army General Saeed Chingriha, Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense, Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, supervised the inauguration ceremony of the new headquarters of the Territorial Air Defense Command, stressing on the spot the need to cope with the new developments in the field. Full details with Melissa Kabash.
After the welcoming ceremony given by Major General Abdelaziz Houam, Commander of the Aerial Forces, the Army General observed a moment of silence in the memory of Shahid Colonel Ben Ali Boudran, known as Lutfi, which the headquarters bear the name, before laying a wreath of flower in front of the commemorative stele and reciting the opening chapter of the Holy Quran, or Al-Fatiha, in his memory and that of our glorious Shuhada. Army General then followed a detailed presentation on this new headquarters presented by those managing the project, before inspecting its different infrastructure, which will allow the personnel of the Territorial Aerial Defense Forces to accomplish their assigned missions in the best conditions and with immense professionalism. After that, the Army General held a meeting with executives of the Territorial Air Defense Forces Command, during which he delivered a keynote speech broadcast via video conference to all units of the CFDAT. During his speech, the Army General expressed his joy and presided over the inauguration ceremony of the new headquarters of the Territorial Air Forces Command, and in meeting the executives and the personnel of this force, to which they grant immense importance, especially with the vital missions they accomplish.
طبيعة وساحة المعركة الحديثة تحولات عميقة.
Indicating that the profound mutations witnessed in the modern battlefield imposes new challenges, even for the strongest armies in the world, which requires us to adapt to these mutations, especially that the aerial space is at the front row when it comes to executing operations. Modern wars are witnessing sophisticated and unprecedented aerial threats, added the Army General, including fourth and fifth generation aircraft, drones of smaller dimensions that fly over low altitudes, making it hard to be detected and to be neutralized, alongside missiles of different ranges of all of which are new factors that pose serious problems to the most powerful armies. Army General added that to this effect it is up to the command, executives and personnel of the territorial air forces to take up the heavy responsibilities, notably gathering the necessary conditions, ensure the permanent and rigorous control of our aerial space, optimize the operational availability of our forces components in order to achieve the objective of deterrence.
بما يضمن تحقيق موجبات الحسم والردع.
At the end of his intervention, Army General gave a series of guidelines regarding the necessity of preserving this new building, intensifying the efforts to pursue missions and live up to the reputation of our valiant army, particularly in terms of development capacity, the protection of the integrity of our aerial space and the fight against all threats. Army General then listened to interventions of executives and personnel of the territory's air defense forces.
شكرا لك بارك الله فيك.
Finally, Army General signed the Golden Book of the Command of the Territory's Air Defense Forces.
To another story now, the French embassy's chargé d'affaires in Algiers was summoned on Thursday by the Director of Immunities and Privileges at the Algerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Melissa Lila Balaman reports.
On this occasion, two official diplomatic notes were presented to the French diplomat. The first note formally notified the French side that Algeria is withdrawing from the 2013 Algerian-French agreement on the reciprocal visa exemption for holders of diplomatic and service passports. The statement explained that this withdrawal goes beyond the simple suspension previously communicated by France and brings a definitive end to the very existence of the agreement. As a result, and without prejudice to the timeline laid out in the agreement, the Algerian government has decided to immediately impose visa requirements on French holders of diplomatic and service passports. Furthermore, it reserves the right to apply the same visa conditions that the French government decides to impose on Algerian nationals. This is a strict application of the principle of reciprocity, which above all reflects Algeria's rejection of French attempts at provocation, intimidation, and bargaining. The second note informs the French side of the Algerian authorities' decision to end the free provision of state-owned properties to the French embassy in Algeria. It also states that there will be a review of the highly favorable leases signed by the embassy with Algeria's Public Property Management Offices, OPGI, and invites the French side to send a delegation to Algiers to begin discussions on the matter. The statement also pointed out that the Algerian diplomatic mission in France receives no such benefits. Accordingly, Algeria's move is intended to bring balance and ensure full reciprocity in the overall Algerian-French relationship.
Within the same context, the Algerian authorities responded firmly to the letter sent by the French president to his prime minister, as well as the explanations recently provided by the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs to the Algerian embassy in France. Details in this report by Melissa Kabash.
In a statement, the Algerian Ministry of Foreign Affairs recalled that France bears a large share of responsibility in the deterioration of bilateral relations. Algeria believes that the presidential letter unjustly exonerates France from all responsibilities in current crisis, placing all the blame on the Algerian side, an interpretation the ministry describes as far from the truth. The statement emphasized that each stage of the escalation has been accompanied by official communications outlining Algeria's grievances in full respect of the principle of reciprocity. The Algerian ministry also condemned the attempt through this letter to portray France as a country deeply committed to fulfilling its bilateral and international obligations, while describing Algeria as a state in continuous violation of its own. This characterization was firmly rejected by Algiers, which accused Paris of repeatedly breaching even its own domestic legislation, particularly particularly the agreement of 1968, 1974 and 2013 governing the movement, stay, employment and diplomatic privileges. The statement goes further, indicating a deviation in the application of the 1994 agreement on the readmission of Algerian nationals, which France accused of distorting in purpose and diverting from its original intent. According to the same statement, it is France that has disregarded its obligations under the 1950 European Convention on Human Rights. The Algerian ministry denounced what it described as arbitrary expulsions, inaccessible administrative and legal remedies, and disregard for consular protection rights for its nationals at all times and all places. Algeria regrets that from the very beginning of a crisis instigated by France itself, Paris has approached its management through a power-based logic, multiplying injunctions and ultimatums. Algerian authorities have described this attitude as unacceptable, reiterating that Algeria yields neither to pressure nor to threat or blackmail of any kind. In response to France's decision to suspend the 2013 agreement on visa exemption for diplomatic and service passport holders, Algeria has announced its formal and outright denunciation of the same agreement, recalling that this agreement had been repeatedly requested by France and by France alone. From now on, French holders of these passports will be subject to the same visa conditions as those imposed on their Algerian counterparts in accordance with Article 8 of the said agreement. Regarding the accreditation of diplomatic and consular personnel, Algiers pointed out that France has been blocking several appointments for over 2 years, including those of 3 consuls general. Algeria affirmed that it has responded by applying the principle of reciprocity and expressed its readiness to return to normal once the French-imposed obstacles are lifted. While reaffirming its position, Algeria stated that it remains open to a comprehensive solution of bilateral disputes through diplomatic channels, a process the country also intends to initiate by submitting additional issues to the French side.
To another story now, and on behalf of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, the Communication Minister, Mohamed Meziane, signed at the Embassy of Romania here in Algiers the condolences register after the death of former President Ion Iliescu, a figure that's played a key role in the Algerian-Romanian bilateral relations. The State Secretary to the Minister of Foreign Affairs in charge of the national community abroad, Soufiane Cheb, underscored in Turkmenistan the importance of developing South-South cooperation as a fundamental tool for implementing efforts and initiatives meant to tackle the challenges facing the developing countries. Algeria is gearing up to host the 4th Intra-African Trade Fair, a major continental event aimed at boosting trade, forging new partnerships and advancing Africa's growth from within. Melissa Leila Balaman explains.
Algeria is actively preparing to host one of the continent's biggest economic gatherings, the 4th edition of the Intra-African Trade Fair, a high-profile event with the clear goal of showcasing Africa through African leadership. Under the theme, A Gateway to New Opportunities, the fair is set to take place in a few weeks and is shaping up to be the most significant edition since its launch in 2018, both in terms of turnout and the scale of partnerships expected. More than 2,000 exhibitors from 140 countries are confirmed, along with over 35,000 professional visitors. The target is bold, surpass $44 billion in trade and investment deals. This edition is not solely about business. The program will be packed with major highlights, from the African Auto Show and a day dedicated to celebrating the African diaspora's talent, to a vibrant mix of cultural, artistic and culinary events, including hands-on workshops and fashion shows. Algeria's commitment to making this edition a success has earned praise from its African partners, starting with Afreximbank, the event's founder-organizer, along with the African Union Commission and the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. A key player since the very first edition, Algeria has always stood out for the quality of its presence and the size of its exhibition space. This year, it is doubling down by boosting its stake in Afreximbank, a move aimed at driving stronger, more integrated and more ambitious intra-African trade across the continent.
You are still watching Canal Algérie. Coming up in our news. The political challenges and the overexploitation of the Saharan natural resources at the heart of the Summer University of the Polisario executives. Welcome back to our news. To the Middle East and the humanitarian situation in the Palestinian territories, which is worsening as the blockade is negatively impacting the local population facing malnutrition and famine. According to a UN report, the humanitarian distribution centers are the scene of regular attacks conducted by the Zionist army, disrupting thereby the functioning of these centers, the sole provider of food and medical care to the inhabitants of Gaza. And from New York, Algeria stressed the necessity to consolidate efforts regarding the non-proliferation of mass destruction weapons. The Deputy Permanent Representative to the UN, Tawfiq Al-Aid Qudri, reiterated Algeria's commitment to the total elimination of all weapons of mass destruction in the world, whether nuclear, chemical or biological. The Summer University of the Polisario executives held in Bermudez province focused on the geopolitical challenges and the overexploitation of the Saharan natural resources. More details in the following report. The Sahrawi cause cannot be erased by dubious alliances and even less by imposed agreements. With all due respect to the Moroccan regime, it is delusional to think that plundering the natural resources of Western Sahara through the illegal complicity of foreign companies could ever legitimize an occupation. Morocco may count on foreign interests to disguise its exploitation of Western Sahara, but the Sahrawi cause stands resilient, stronger than any maneuver.
الصحراوية تبقى أقوى من جميع هذه المناورات.
The truth is, the Sahrawi struggle transcends borders. It draws strength from the unwavering determination of its people. It asserts itself within the African Union and continues to gain recognition on the international stage, proving that diplomacy remains one of its most powerful weapons. This is the struggle of free people carried by an active diplomacy that strengthens the Sahrawi republics standing both in Africa and across the world. 50 years of resistance may seem long to those who measure by time alone, but for those who understand the spirit of a just revolution, 5 decades of resilience only confirm that the Sahrawi path leads steadily towards victory. The Sahrawi people are heading steadily towards liberation, towards the full restoration of their state sovereignty, grounded firmly in international legitimacy. To sport now, a 3x3 basket tournament was held in Algiers. This continental event witnessed the participation of Algeria, Egypt, Comoros and Benin. The tournament was marked by several activities that allowed the participants to discover Algeria, according to their statement.
And we just had a tournament here in Algeria. It's a wonderful country to be in, and so far so good. The stay here has been nice, the food, everything. And about the tournament, it's actually a fun place to be. The games are going so well, and we'll actually be glad if we come back again.
We love being here in Nigeria. I've been here in Nigeria one more time when we played the National League, the U23. I find it very well, very comfortable. The organization for this tournament has been awesome. We love to be here. Even the tournament, it is a learning process for our U23 as a country and also as a team. It's a young team that you're bringing, a new team, and they've really done well so far. We've won one stop, but so far so good. We thank you for everything. The referees are doing a good job. Thank you so much.
They are the Africans enjoying their stay in Algeria. With this, we come to the end of our news. Tomorrow, another day, other news. Keep tuning to our channel, and bye-bye for now.